But
Hopefully I'll do this justice. So
oh,
this is
you oh,
new, new experience.
are you kidding? I'm chatting with Jeremy D. Jones, conductor of the Miami University Men's Glee Club in Oxford, Ohio. And let me tell you, Miami University in Oxford, Ohio has a dynamic, magnificent music department. Incredible. I seem to be being pointed to Miami University on more than one occasion. Um, and just everybody out there, lots of professional musicians out there, all of you who are saying, hey, there's no repertoire for male a cappella chorus, you're out of your minds. This CD we're going to talk about, it's an Albany Records release from 2016. Veiled Light is the title of the CD. It is the Miami University Men's Glee Club with Jeremy D. Jones conducting. This program, from beginning to end, I think 13 pieces,
That's right.
all 21st century composers, young people. I looked at the dates of birth and thought, oh no, I only have 12 years left. Uh, but and absolutely stunning, stunning, gorgeous music, every single piece on here. So this CD, I want everybody to know out there, is a masterpiece. We're going to get the all the word up how you can buy the CD, bios, videos, the interview, the whole thing. But I'm just saying, choral directors, especially if you, and by the way, I have a tradition in Santa Barbara with Karl Zytowski and the Schubertians. He had a men's
Sure.
chorus for many, many years at UCSB. But those of you, especially who have a male glee club or something, you must pick up this CD because this is some of the most magnificent repertoire I've heard. I mean, it's just absolutely stunning, and we're going to talk about it a great deal, as much time as we got anyway. Jeremy D. Jones, let's get the credentials down. Assistant professor of music, and now faculty scholar at Miami University in Oxford, Ohio. Conducts the Men's Glee Club, the Collegiate Chorale, teaches choral music education, DMA from Cincinnati College Conservatory. Music can't, I think it sounds good. I think you're okay there. Uh, and how many of these composers, we're looking at 13 different wonderful composers. How many do you, I mean, I think five of these pieces, as I recall, were written specifically for the
Yeah, that's right.
Glee Club.
Five works in this recording were written specifically for our ensemble, and we're just thrilled to have the opportunity.
And also, it's a small world in music. You and I were talking a little bit before. One of these pieces is an arrangement uh, by our colleague and your predecessor
Right.
there. Help, I've just forgotten his name. Sperry. First name is
Ethan Sperry, that's right.
Ethan
Yeah,
Sperry. Yes.
put up in
Sorry,
Raleigh while
sorry,
he was
Ethan.
while he was conducting the men's glee club here a number of years ago,
Yeah.
and that's been in our repertoire since he wrote that piece for the group. So it's a treasured gem in our repertoire, and
And fascinating, wonderful piece. And forgive me, Ethan, I know you're going to be watching this. I had the great pleasure of reviewing his incredible chamber choir at Portland State University. It's absolutely fantastic. So the tradition continues, obviously, because the level of music making here under your leadership is absolutely superb. And what I love, and I hope we'll get to it in a bit, is,
sure.
and actually I have a question for you. Let's jump into it right away. It's about vibrato and non-vibrato.
Mm,
Now, a couple nights ago, I interviewed a wonderful British choral conductor, and
mhm.
I asked that same question because on this CD, for example, there's just the most beautiful I would have described as an orchestra conductor non-vibrato
Uh-huh.
color and sound. It's just so
Sure.
even. And he essentially said, no, it's not about asking people to sing non-vibrato. It's about getting everything exactly perfectly. The
Yeah,
golden mean.
that's right. That's right. I agree with that sentiment wholeheartedly. I avoid the term non-vibrato or straight tone. For me, it's really about it's all in the vowel. It's all in the blend. That's how I try to approach it. Might ask for a purified tone here and there, um, but it always needs to have a shimmer or sparkle.
Uh,
And again, it's all in the vowel for me.
Wow, well, for me as an orchestral conductor by training, that was a big revelation. I thought really you one worked one made singers conscious of the idea of singing non vibrato, and you agree. No, 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 don't do that, because he essentially said that just causes everything to pinch up and tighten up, and
That's right. That's right.
that it's
Right.
that it is about just getting everything perfectly balanced, perfectly blended. Well, if that is the case, these guys, and what are they, 100 something? It's a huge men's glee club.
Yeah, we're right about 100, somewhere between 90 and 100, usually every year. I think we're at 94 this year.
And
So
let me
that's
speak to that while we're talking numbers. When I think, my prejudices. When I think 94 men's glee club, I think, oh boy, rowdy, rowdy, hip, hip, hooray. No, 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 no. This 100 singers are the most delicate, beautifully blended and colored ensemble. They sing magnificently. Um, it's a large ensemble. I think we mentioned, founded in 1907. So
right.
you mentioned Harvard Glee Club as probably being the first from the 1850s or something
Correct.
like that.
Right. Right. Right.
So Miami Universities is right up there. We kind of mentioned this would have been the heyday of the Midwest. When all of these cities, Canton, Cleveland,
Right.
give me those wonderful towns were all booming and booming and booming. So the tradition of men's glee club quickly found itself to the Midwest, especially Miami University and Oxford. So I think that tradition is wonderful.
Really did. It really did. Yeah.
I think what jumps off the page is as I mentioned earlier, is that this is a treasure trove of
Mhm.
superb. There is not a single moment of superficiality. You know what I mean? It's every single note is gorgeous. And I may have mentioned to you, I had to drive up from LA today and played it on the way up and wept and
Uh,
wept and wept. And what that's about is just when especially choral sound, but a male choral sound, there is something so unique about that sound. It is so beautifully blended, and when the music by these composers is so heartfelt and so gorgeous,
right. Right. It just starts with the text.
it
It
really
starts
does.
um, quality literature, and the composers that we were able to program for the recording are just they're just master composers,
Yeah,
and they understand the text. They understand how to deliver it with great sensitivity. They have great imagination and
yeah,
color for the sound that they're going after. And you mentioned, the sensitivity that the men were singing with. That's something also we take great pride in. Um, so many men's choruses can sing loud and robust and rich, and it's exciting and exhilarating, and we all love that. But I think it can be all the more exciting with the pianissimo
yeah.
and the gentle release. So we really enjoy working diligently for that side of the art as well. Um, and we
Beautiful phrasing, beautiful coloration. By the way, I love it when the bar line dissolves.
oh yeah, yeah,
I think
absolutely.
that really is the magic when you
Yeah,
when you can speak phrases and not worry about the damn bar line. Your
that's right.
choir does that for sure. The Glee Club does it. It's just beautiful, beautiful phrasing. You were going to say something? Did I interrupt?
I was just going to mention with the 90 to 100 students that we have, and traditional, a lot of men's glee clubs around the country, a number of them, I would like to say, are non-music majors. We normally would have 10 or 15% of our students that are music majors, either in instrumental or voice. So take great pride of that too, that they love to sing, they love the brotherhood and camaraderie and the experiences that they get through the shared love of music.
Yeah,
So,
and not only that, they that kind of training that they get. I think you just described this superb choir as being a small percentage are serious music majors. The rest are just human beings wanting to make music in the best way
sure,
they can.
in business, education,
Yeah,
architecture, you name it,
yeah. So this is
they're
going to carry with them the rest of their lives, just an aesthetic. Let's put it that way.
that's right. That's
I
right.
mean, to come away from this kind of training and this kind of experience with this CD is an aesthetic
Yeah.
in that veiled light. It's fabulous. Is there anything particularly different about conducting all men voices? Is there anything different about preparation or ear, voice, ensemble training, anything like that?
I
Centering of
don't
the
think,
sound?
I don't think so. Not for me. I don't believe so. I'm just going for a healthy tone, rich, open, free, vibrant, and really bringing the singer's imagination to the score, to the text. That we're not just singing, and for any choir, we're not just singing, black notes on the page. but it's what's inside the note. We're really trying to shape and create a story. And I think once we can break through that and be vulnerable with with ourselves, and with the larger group that we're singing with, I think the music experience is all the more passionate, meaningful, moving, I think.
Sure, and as I think we made clear, understanding the text. I mean, if you don't understand the words, you're behind in the struggle. So
That's right.
understanding the text, and not just the words, but the subtext,
That's right.
the darker maybe I shouldn't have said darker, but the psychological stuff, all that stuff
Right.
that's about great music and great text. And this is I think it's time to just deal with a couple of these pieces because I can't I've got to I have to Gaudetta, I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly, but
Yeah,
Michael Engelhardt, nice postmodern. Oh, he calls it postmodern quasi-industrial groove
that's right.
anthem.
That's
And I
right.
and I thought as I listened to it in the beginning, that's a lovely piece. I thought, what is he talking about with this groove thing? And then, of course, it gets fairly groovy. Tell me about putting that together with the percussion and mallet percussion battery that you use.
Yeah, I mean, with the metallic percussion, giving the rhythmic drive and the industrial groove, if you will, just creates a certain vitality and energy. Yeah, kind of, giving a tip of the hat back to the kind of the chant-inspired tune of Gaudete. Um, it's just a fun piece to work on. Again, it just drives. The guys really really love it.
And as you said, there is that chant opening, very traditional, and then it kind of kicks up its heels a bit. It makes a lot of powerful sense.
Right.
Now uh, let's talk about tears, shall we? I mean, do Douglas Pugh's "Lead Gently, Lord." Let me use a little quote: "For lo, the way is dark. Through mist and cloud I grope, save for that fitful spark, the little flame of hope." Paul
Mhm.
Laurence Dunbar. Uh, and those sentiments, just that little fragment, let alone the rest of the poem, is so beautifully expressed musically by Douglas Pugh. Can you tell me a little bit about Douglas Pugh? Was this one of the pieces commissioned for you?
It was. Doug and I were in graduate school at the University of Cincinnati. Doug was working on his PhD in composition, and so we've been friends for 12, 13 years now. In fact, he's just written a second piece for us for this semester. But I think just his mastery, again, just like all the composers, his mastery and understanding of how he's trying to set the text is just brilliant. Very lyrical.
Yes.
In that B section, "For lo, the way is dark," the middle section of the piece, it's rich, low, rich bass tones that just underscore this rhetoric of "lo, the way is dark." Um,
By the
I
way, I
think,
love you. I love the way you balance your men's voices. Excuse me for interrupting.
oh, sure.
Speaking of the lower men's voices, again, so easy to get a little carried away. I suppose I'm trying. You know what I'm trying to say. Whereas what I hear throughout this CD is the most delicate bottom sound.
Mhm, mhm.
So anyway, excuse me, but just
No, 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 no. Thank you. I tell my basses often not to try to sound like a bass. You know,
okay.
putting it in four-wheel drive often and getting heavier
There you
overcut,
go.
but just warm, free and open. Just let the bass naturally fall
Yeah,
where it is.
yeah.
You know,
And by the way, this Douglas Pugh is among other things an absolutely intuitive composer. This is intuitive writing in terms of the way his mind, his aesthetic responds to these glorious, glorious words. One more, my fainting should doth yearn for the green hills afar. What superb execution, by the way, with the choir. I hope I got that quote right. My
yeah,
fainting
yeah, yeah. And
should.
the guiding star at the very end as it just tapers off into heaven.
It's gorgeous, gorgeous. And then the next piece on the CD, I couldn't believe it. This is the Edgar Allan Poe poem, I think, isn't it?
It
De-
is.
Demon, in my view, composed by
Mhm.
Jeffrey T. Horvath. Horvath, sorry. Um, and Jeffrey was a student in the Men's Glee
That,
Club in 2004. Yeah.
that's right. Under Ethan Sperry when he was here, and this was one of the first. pieces that I learned when I arrived at Miami in 2010 from the students that sang under Ethan that had also performed Demon in My View. And little did I know at the time that the piece was written by one of Ethan's former students. And talk about a gem in the male choral literature again. This piece is that.
I,
Um,
I just put it bluntly. It's a gorgeous, wonderful tone poem. I keep using that word because it's such an extended narrative, such a complex and interesting narrative. Tone poem for men's voices, an American masterpiece
thank you.
for a cappella men's chorus. I mean, it's that important. It's that moving. It's that communicative to an audience. It's gorgeous, gorgeous piece. And again, talk about, we read Poe, we hear of Poe, we do, all this, but Jeffrey had found the core of this man's humanity, his own poem of the devils that he's speaking to, the
That's
devils
right.
that he
That's right.
had to deal with in his life.
I think this is one of the first pieces too, one of the earlier pieces that I conducted with the group where we really wrestled with the text and really kind of delved into the ideas of the troubles that everyone has through daily life. Um, as we as for these gentlemen as they enter collegiate life, they're trying to figure out what life is about for them, where they're heading, how life changes, the tumultuous rides that it sometimes gives us. And I think for me, was one of the moments where I realized that really opening up and having time to share, kind of wearing our emotions on the sleeve, if you will, really can make such a profound impact, not only on the music, but in their lives. Uh,
Maybe that's what strikes me so much about your choir.
mm,
The humanity and sensitivity. Remember how we mentioned, or I mentioned in the beginning, one kind of thinks men's glee club, and a whole bunch of stuff gets into the head, gets in the way about what a men's glee club is
sure.
all about. And so maybe that's not only your choice of composers, and how you pulled off this CD is beyond
Mm,
me. You must have had to have made many, many choices of
you
stuff that
did.
had to be left behind, yeah?
Right.
Talk about that for a minute. 13 pieces. How big a chore is that? You spread 47 works out on a table and do what?
Well, yeah, for us, for this recording, it was probably a process of 2 years worth of literature that we then combined into the final recording that May of 2016. Um, and again, 5 of them that we had were written specifically for us, and others that I just, found through my own choral study and literature searches over the summer and over the years. But I wanted to highlight some of the works that I thought were the best for the men's choral world, um, and really championing the newer works. And so I think that's what this disc does.
And by the way, it's not a controversial remark. These newer works, these 21st century works,
Sure.
they are knocked down, drag out, gorgeous.
Mm,
Period. That's just all there is to it.
mhm.
Just so everybody knows, I don't, how sometimes we get a little, people might expect wild contemporary sounds and stuff. I love all that in choral writing also, but this
Sure.
is just a beautiful, beautiful, deeply moving CD, and I want everyone to be aware of that, especially choral conductors who are looking for this kind of just, um, I don't know, heart uplifting repertoire. It's all that. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous
Sure.
stuff. Rough Beast, Timothy C. Takach. Have I
Takash, yeah, Takash, yeah.
uh, and I looked and I saw, oh, poem by William Butler Yeats, and I thought, all the prejudices came up. Like, William
Sure.
Butler Yeats, I had to do that in high school. No, no, no. What an amazing
Sure.
collection of words, fascinating text, style of the writing, very, very engaging for the audience as well. How'd that come about? Where'd you run into Timothy?
Well, I was teaching high school years ago, and Tim was singing in Cantus, um, and he worked with my men's choir in Nashville, Tennessee.
Small
And
world.
it is a small world. And I remembered him from years ago, and just kind of out of the blue. I think it was in 2014. I had called him and said, Tim, uh, you may or may not remember me, but you worked with my men, and when I was teaching high school. Um, that year, my glee club had been invited to this Central Division ACDA conference, and I I thought, well, I'd like to commission Tim to write a piece for our group. And so this was that process, the product that came from that commission, based on Yeats' "The Second Coming" is the poem, and then he titled it "Rough Beast," um, which I think captures the text and the music very, very vividly.
Yeah.
Uh, it was a rough piece. It was fun to put together.
But hard?
Very difficult, very challenging, very rewarding.
What about pitch relations? About what? Inner voicing?
The pitch relations, you bet. Pitch relations, just the harmonics, the rhythmic drive with the percussion. Certainly, it's a cappella. Um, a number of accidentals throwing in for the harmonic language. But a work that the guys loved and embraced, and I think performed it quite well.
You know, I always wonder about that with a cappella singing. It's a little, I'm being a little bit facetious, but especially a piece that you've just described as having accidentals and moves around a bit tonally and harmonically, about how you keep, you know, it's called a cappella, folks. There's no piano helping you get back to the center.
That's right.
Is that, I mean, what's your greatest nightmare? And what happens if it drifts off? Do you just keep the do rate, the do center or something, or not? What?
For us, it's just again a lot of practicing tuning fifths, tuning seconds, tuning your leading tones, high thirds. We spend a lot of time doing that, and again, working on the blend and the balance through the vowels. I think it's all in the vowel, all in the color. So
I'm going to be dreaming that remark for weeks now. It's all in the vowels, Kepl. It's all in the
all in
vowels.
the vowels, all in the vowels. That's right. That's right.
Hey,
That's right.
Brian Schmidt, I thought, do I need another Lux Eterna?
Yeah, sure,
And by the way, the answer is sure. Sure, we
sure.
could use several hundred more Lux Eternas. Brian Schmidt, such beautiful balancing, by the way, in the part of your work as the conductor, but fabulous voicing, especially the low voices. I love in this piece the sound of the low voices in your Glee Club. Uh, Beautiful, accessible, intonation is practically a golden mean, I have in my notes here. And what
Mm,
I mean by that, of course, and we've discussed it off and on, about getting that perfect blend then gives you this kind of resonant, exquisite sound.
sure, sure.
What's the story there? It says, I guess yeah, that's about all I had noted about. But just what an example of perfection in intonation and balance and voice leading and all the rest of it.
Sure. I would say the loops eterna, similar to, well, a number of them, but dedication later in the disc comes to mind. Um, it's just lead gently, Lord, same. It's just a slower paced piece. Just the line, the lyrical line of the piece just brings so much beauty, I think, to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, now for a little fun. A wedding. How do you pronounce that?
Wedding Folly, yeah.
Kawali by A.R. Rahman, arranged by Ethan Sperry at Portland State University while he was still presumably there.
That's right.
It's from a Bollywood musical, Bombay Dreams. Lots of fun, very African dance and chant, vigorous. Tell me a little bit about putting that one together. And I know the boys need a little relief now and again. Yeah,
They
is this
do, and that certainly provided that, right? The rhythmic drive. Ethan just had a masterpiece when he arranged Wedding Cavalli for the guys. It's been a big hit around the country, around the world, and we're proud to call that, a piece that was commissioned
Sorry,
by.
that's my clock going off.
Hey, that's all right. And it's just a fun piece. It's certainly very challenging with the tempo that we take, getting the solocatu and all the text in for clarity. It's just again a rhythmic drive.
Yeah,
Uh,
African dance or Indian
Indian,
dance,
right?
whatever,
That's right.
East Asian of some kind. I mean, that kind of rhythm and pulse. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, I guess it's time to get back to one of the most beautiful, beautiful pieces on this CD, Night, Veiled Night, Anthony J. Maglione. Do we pronounce the G?
Maglione. Maglione.
Maglione, Maglione. Oh, these Italians and then the New Yorkers make it different. It's so hard. Maglione, Anthony J. Maglione, with Pansy Chang, cellist.
Correct.
So gorgeous. This is really so evocative and also so beautifully east and west. Tell us a little bit
Yeah,
about this one, Night,
sure.
Veiled Night.
So Nightville Night was written by my friend Tony Maglione. We did some graduate work together in our master's program years ago, and he wrote this piece for us. It was one of the first pieces that I had commissioned for the group in 2013, 2012, 13. Written for double chorus and solo cello a cappella. And Tony was trying to explore um, uh, his own Western compositional style, kind of meeting some of the Indian influences um, that you hear in the solo cello
Yeah,
line,
yeah,
kind of
exactly.
based on raga. Um, and it's just, again, just an exquisite piece. I think it's a hallmark centerpiece of the disc, which is why it's there in the seventh track, right there in the middle for us. Yeah, it's just a beautiful work, beautiful writing.
And I can't resist text quote. Take me up on your chariot without wheels, running noiselessly from world to world. And I can see that in the Indian religious paintings, the chariots in the sky, sort of thing. It's just such imagery. Let's see what else. There was one other. Oh, wonderful different use of solo and duo colors, and I thought that was incredible the way he writes for cello so that it is in the spirit, maybe what one could say, of Indian ragas music, but just even the sound quality is of
Sure.
a sitar almost, kind of, sort of.
Yeah, yeah. Pansy just played so beautifully, and Tommy and Lauren, who were our solo
Mm.
and duet guys there, just beautiful, beautiful singers. They were just so sensitive and expressive.
Yeah, and two male voices in that duo solo capability, just elegant writing really for two male voices. Beautiful, very moving. As you said earlier, I think maybe this whole CD is about kind of exposing. It's kind of exposing. You know what I mean? It's not.
Sure, absolutely.
It's fragile. So much of this music and its text is so fragile and so vulnerable, thus so affecting and moving. Let's see. There's one other. Oh, make me their poet, the poet of thy fathomless silence. Wow. I mean, where can you find words that music
That's right.
craves to use? Okay, Five Ways to Kill a Man, Bob Chilcott. Tell me about that piece. It's
Oh,
it's not what it sounds like either, by the way.
not what it sounds like. Five verses of five ways to kill a man that starts back to Christ's crucifixion, that takes us through wartime of knights jousting to World War One and World War Two, and finally in the fifth verse, the poet is just saying, "Well, just leave man, leave humankind where he is, where they are. Um, just leave them there. There are many cumbersome ways to kill a man, but somewhere in the 20th century, just leave man be." And that,
Leave him be. He'll kill him. He'll off himself anyway. No problem.
you
No, I'm
know,
kidding.
and it's written in that kind of a jazz
Kind
kind of
of, yeah,
there towards the end a little
yeah.
bit. Uh, a very fun piece though as well to put together. Very talented, very different, very
Yeah.
different. You
And by
know,
the way, I've heard of very little of this repertoire before or encountered it. So
um,
again, I mean, maybe I'm all wet as the sort of instrumentalist in the conversation, but I found all of this very refreshing, all of this programming really refreshing.
great, great, thank you.
Let's talk about, I see the steady light Reginald Unterseyer, I hope I pronounced it right.
Sure,
Let me just do a little quote. Let's just touch on it. We kind of have to wind it down a little bit. But let my
sure.
footfall on this blessed earth tread lightly as a falling leaf. I mean, how current and can that kind of a thought be? Gorgeous. Here's what I have. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Balances, intonation, color, dynamics, elegant. And I think that's the way I would describe
Mm.
your Glee Club just in general. It's an elegant sound.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
And let's look at Abraham. Here's the title of the piece: Abraham Lincoln Walks at Midnight. And what an amazing narrative tone poem, also for male chorus. But what an idea! The kind of the ghost of Lincoln haunting
Right.
Springfield, haunting his old place, haunting where his child once played in the quiet life that was Springfield before the madness that was. It's incredibly complex compositionally, it sounds. Can you speak to that?
Well, it is. I mean, with the piano and the snare drum, that we tried to mimic kind of a Civil War-esque
Yeah,
sound
yeah.
in the drum.
That sort of tenor drum thing, a for the troops, that kind of military drum beat.
Well, that's right. But just again, a provocative work, mysterious in a way, but it's certainly challenging from a singer's standpoint. But again, one of my favorites. They're all my favorites, I think. But yeah.
One of them, okay, because I was going to ask you that question, but the truth is,
Yeah.
it kind of went out the window when I realized that every single piece on this CD is brilliant. There isn't a weak work anywhere on the CD. It's just a gold mine for choral conductors. You know, honestly, dedication, Richard Burchard, and this tore me apart. Why don't you tell us what dedication is about?
Well, dedication from the Mark Twain poem, written for the loss of his daughter. Warm summer sun, shine kindly here. Has a beautiful duetting line that one could imagine as, well, possibly the father and the loss of his child, if anyone has gone through that awful experience and tragedy. Um, Very heartwarming, very sentimental, very tender, very loving. I think the words that I would use to describe his dedication.
I just had to find this. It's a very simple little poem, but warm summer sun, shine kindly here. Warm southern wind blows softly here. Green sod above, lie light. Good night, dear heart, good night, good night. About his 24-year-old daughter. He must have been maybe in his 60s, I don't know, something.
I'm not sure.
But I just had no idea. And Richard Burchard has captured the intensity of this emotion so beautifully with this piece.
Absolutely. Breathtaking.
Now I love this. And you know, I want to love everything on this CD for many reasons. Here's for example, Ron Jeffers. I have had singing. Okay, I mean it sounds sort of fun and playful. It's like I've had singing. I've been there, done that. But it's so much more intense in terms of the word story. It's nostalgic. It's beautifully written. Ugh. Was this also? Did you commission this piece by any chance?
We did not commission this piece. It's been out for a number of years, but one that I stumbled across, published through Earth Songs,
Hmm.
and it's simplicity, I think, very straightforward, um, kind of hymnody style, if you will. But I think the text just speaks so much to what our members uh, have in common and bond. Um, they love their passion for singing. No matter where they go through life, they can look back fondly on their time in the men's glee club and collegiate life, and that they had singing. And
You know
hopefully
this,
that,
and this poem is a little reminiscence of life in Britain.
sure,
As we all know, everybody sings in Britain still to this day. Just let's see. Again, the words are so important. We all sang, and this was my pleasure too. The boys in the fields, the chapels were full of singing, always full of singing. Here I lie. I have had pleasure enough. I have had singing.
that's right.
Again, the tears are pouring down my face as I'm driving through rush hour traffic this afternoon. Uh, Jonathan Combe, Songs for the People. This is with piano. This is the last piece on the disc. What have I got? Well, it's fun. You have to kind of send them away. This CD is far from there is nothing downer about this
Sure.
CD at all. This is inspiration upon inspiration upon moving inspiration. But it's kind of fun that Songs for the People. They sent us out with a little bit of rhythm but on the other hand, it also is a serious tone poem. The narrative is quite serious.
That's right. That's right. Just a very challenging piano part as well. that our accompanist that year, William, just did marvelous work. But I love its uplifting spirit and text that it provides to end the disc. Um, where war shall cease is a line.
Let's hope
And
so. Not in my lifetime, I'm certain of that, but maybe one day. It's so useless, war.
that's right.
Look, let's wind it down a little bit. Jeremy D. Jones, Dr. Jeremy D. Jones, conductor of the Miami University Men's Glee Club and the choral, the other choral groups there, teaches choral education at Miami University in Oxford, Ohio. We're talking about the 2016. And by the way, I really mean that. You know what I've discovered? Little places in the middle of nowhere have the most exciting, incredible things going on. Never, never, never underestimate.
We've got a lot of great things going on at Miami. So it's
Fantastic at Miami University. 2016 Albany Records release, Veiled Light. We're going to put the interview we've just had up in a couple 3 days. I'm falling behind on video interviews, getting them up. I'm trying to catch up on written reviews. I'll review the CD a little bit later on, and so you can get a kind of second stab at some publicity. That's my alibi anyway. We're talking about the University Men's Glee Club, Miami University Men's Glee Club, an extraordinary ensemble. Especially considering its size, something in the neighborhood of 100 voices, and it's just exquisite. Such gentle, elegant singing. Jeremy, thank you very, very much for giving me a chance to have a chat with you about this CD. By the way, what's coming up? You mentioned something about another CD coming up, maybe.
sure. Our next CD on Albany Records will be coming out later this year, hopefully in July or August, on Albany Records. The disc titled "We Are." Um, Again, another disc of new works. Many of
Nice.
them have been commissioned by our group since the 2016 disc, and we're excited to share that pretty soon.
I think that's a good direction, by the way. New music, new music, new music.
Good music.
Especially at this level. And just let me say again, Veiled Light is an absolute perfection of music. The pieces on this CD are incredible. Everybody that is choral directors or whatnot, get out there and all you have to do is click at the website. I'll take you there. I'll take you to where you can buy the CD. Just fabulous. Jeremy,
Thank,
many thanks again.
thank,
Wonderful.
thank you very much.
Okay, see you.